Biden-Trump debate. Powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake hits southern Peru. Taliban delegation attends a UN-led meeting. Ultra-Orthodox protest against order to enlist in Israeli military. Storms in Switzerland cause flooding and a landslide. Diana's gowns and royal items auctioned for millions.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Monday, July 1st, and here are your top stories. Before a Thursday evening, many Americans had expressed concerns about Joe Biden's age and fitness for office. To say that this debate did not put those concerns to rest may be one of the greatest understatements of the year. The president came into the debate with a low bar to clear, but he stumbled. He was flat, he was rambling, he was unclear. About midway through the debate, the Biden campaign said that the president was battling a cold, an attempt to explain his raspy voice. That may be so, but it also sounded like an excuse. For 90 minutes, more often than not, he was on the ropes. Particularly early in the evening, some of his answers were nonsensical.
Trump largely offered a disciplined, nimble performance. He avoided the kind of interruptions and belligerence that undermined his first debate showing in 2020 and turned the discussion back to attacks on Biden's record whenever possible. He repeatedly made assertions that weren't supported by facts, as well as outright falsehoods, but Biden was largely unable to corner him on them. Shortly after the debate finished, Vice President Kamala Harris acknowledged that the president had a slow start, but said that he had finished strong. This was the earliest debate in modern U.S. history, in part because the Biden team wanted it that way. One reason is they sought to shift focus to Trump earlier in the campaign season, hoping that American voters would be reminded of the chaotic nature of his presidency.
According to the United States Geological Survey, at least 8 people have been injured after a powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of southern Peru overnight Friday at a depth of 28 kilometers. The quake hit 8 kilometers west of Arequipa, about 600 kilometers south of the capital Lima. Some residents said on social media they felt a very strong and long quake that caused their beds to shake. CCTV footage from the nearby town of Caravelli shows a residential street shaking violently and people coming out of their houses.
The quake was felt as far as the capital. Video posted on social media shows lamps swaying inside houses in Lima. According to authorities, 8 people have been injured in the incident. The Ministry of Health said Friday morning that of those, 5 received medical attention in 2 hospitals in the Ica region, and 3 were treated for minor injuries at a hospital in the neighboring Arequipa region, both in southwestern Peru. No deaths have been registered following the quake. Peru, along with most of the South American Pacific coast, is on the border of 2 tectonic plates, the South American Plate, which includes most of the continent, and the Nazca Plate, which extends across the Pacific along most of the coast.
A Taliban delegation on Sunday attended a United Nations-led meeting in Qatar on Afghanistan after organizers said women would be excluded from the gathering. The 2-day meeting is the 3rd UN-sponsored gathering on the Afghan crisis in the Qatari capital of Doha. The Taliban were not invited to the first meeting, and UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said they set unacceptable conditions for attending the second one in February, including demands that Afghan civil society members be excluded from the talks and that the Taliban be treated as the country's legitimate rulers.
Zabihallah Mujahid, the chief spokesman for the Taliban government who leads its delegation, wrote on the social media platform X that the delegation met with representatives from countries including Russia, India, and Uzbekistan on the sidelines of the meeting. The Taliban seized power in August 2021 as U.S. and NATO forces were in the final weeks of their pullout from the country following 2 decades of war. No country has officially recognized the Taliban as Afghanistan's government, and the UN has said recognition is almost impossible while bans on female education and employment remain in place. Earlier, the United Nations top official in Afghanistan, Rosa Otunbayeva, defended the failure to include Afghan women in the meeting in Doha, insisting that demands for women's rights are certain to be raised.
Thousands of Jewish ultra-Orthodox men clashed with Israeli police in central Jerusalem on Sunday during a protest against a Supreme Court order for them to begin enlisting for military service. The landmark decision last week, ordering the government to begin drafting ultra-Orthodox men, could lead to the collapse of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's governing coalition as Israel wages war in Gaza. Tens of thousands of men rallied in an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood to protest the order. But after nightfall, the crowd made its way towards central Jerusalem and turned violent.
Israeli police said protesters threw rocks and attacked the car of an ultra-Orthodox cabinet minister, pelting it with stones. Water cannons filled with skunk-scented water and police mounted on horses were used to disperse the crowd, but the demonstration was still not under control late Sunday. Military service is compulsory for most Jewish men and women in Israel, but politically powerful ultra-Orthodox parties have won exemptions for their followers to skip military service and instead study in religious seminaries. The long-standing arrangement has bred resentment among the broader public, a sentiment that has grown stronger during the 8-month war against Hamas. Over 600 soldiers have been killed in fighting, and tens of thousands of reservists have been activated, upending careers, businesses, and lives.
Authorities said on Sunday that storms in Switzerland and northern Italy caused extensive flooding and landslides, leaving at least 4 people dead. The bodies of 3 people were recovered following a landslide in the Fontana area of the Maggi Valley in the Italian-speaking Ticino canton on the southern side of the Alps. Storms and heavy rain pounded southern and western Switzerland on Saturday and overnight. Camping sites along the Maggia River were evacuated, and part of the small Vesletto road bridge collapsed. 1 person was missing in the nearby valley.
Farther north, the Rhone River burst its banks in several areas of Valais Canton, flooding a highway and a railway line. Police said that side valleys south of the Rhone saw particularly heavy rain, and the body of a man, reported missing by his partner, was found early Sunday at a hotel in the alpine resort of Saas Grund. Authorities believe he was caught by surprise by floodwaters. Floods, thunderstorms, and landslides also affected various regions in northern Italy. Firefighters reported conducting about 80 rescue operations, evacuating dozens of people in the northern Piedmont region. Between Montanaro and San Benigno Canavese, firefighters rescued 2 adults and a 3-month-old girl after rising waters from the Arco torrent trapped them in their car. Several villages were isolated due to overflowing streams, storms, and landslides.
A collection of items once owned by members of the royal family, including dresses and notes by the late Princess Diana, has sold for more than £4 million at auction in California. The sale featured more than 200 items and was billed by auctioneers as the most extensive collection of Diana's personal belongings since she held her own charity auction 2 months before her death in 1997. A magenta silk and lace off-the-shoulder evening dress designed by Victor Elstand, which Diana wore in London and Germany in 1987, topped the sale at $910,000, 4.5 times its original lower estimate.
British creator Victor Edelstein also created the navy blue dress that Princess Diana wore when she danced with John Travolta at the White House in 1985. Diana's favorite designers, including Edelstein, Caroline Charles, and Catherine Walker, were featured in the auction titled Princess Diana's Elegance and a Royal Collection, held at the Peninsula Beverly Hills in Los Angeles on the 26th of June. Proceeds from the auction of this gown will benefit Muscular Dystrophy UK, among other specified lots. The sale follows the record-setting auction of a Jacques Azagura-designed dress worn by Diana in Italy in 1985, which became the most expensive dress worn by the royal at auction, selling for over $1 million in December. Previously, the most expensive dress worn by Princess Diana sold at auction was a 1991 velvet gown by Victor Edelstein, which fetched $604,800 in January.
The answer for last Friday was B, potent. The drug is extremely potent but causes unpleasant side effects. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Biden-Trump debate. Number 1, understatement. 保守的说法，不充分的叙述。To say we were pleased is an understatement. Number 2, raspy. 嗓音沙哑刺耳的。Both men sang in a deep, raspy tone. Number 3, nonsensical. 荒谬的，无意义的。 It seemed to me that Sir Robert's arguments were nonsensical. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I will see you next time.